Hello, everyone, or should I say, Boa tarde. Welcome to the Your Overseas Home webinar on buying in Portugal. Um, it's great to have you with us, whether you're watching live or our recorded version, which is available through our on-demand webpage. You're watching this hopefully because you're interested in purchasing a home in Portugal, maybe moving there as well. Perhaps you're even ready to start looking seriously for your home. But just how ready are you? The aim of this session is to ensure you're in the best possible position to move forward, which means having the right people helping you along the way and knowing what needs to be done to make your transaction a success. To do this, we'll be meeting and chatting to three specialists, your dream team, if you like, whose combined expertise should make your real estate purchase a smooth, enjoyable, and safe experience. If you're about to start property hunting in Portugal, the next hour should be invaluable for you. So let's meet our experts. They are your property agent or agency, one that has proven experience of helping overseas buyers. And that today is Cristina Arreru from Ideal Homes Portugal. Second is your independent bilingual lawyer, who today is Joanna Neto Mestre from MATLAW. And last but not least is your currency specialist, who is Barbara Garrett from Smart Currency Exchange. Hi, you three, you can all hear okay.
Yeah.
So thanks for being with us. We're lucky to have such a broad range of knowledge and experience of the Portuguese property market all together in one panel today. So they've each given up their time to be here. So if you're watching, let's make use. If you're watching live, let's make use of having them here and ask some questions later on. We've got about an hour for this webinar. I'm going to start by asking each of the panelists to do a brief introduction about themselves and their own experience and how they can help you today, the company who they work for and the services that they offer. And then I'm going to address each of them individually for about 15 minutes. I've got questions to run through, and hopefully we're going to cover off the key topics, key things that are relevant to each of their fields. But we also want to hear from you, the audience, if you are watching live. So you can ask questions to any of the panelists, and to do that, if you just use the questions tool, which you should see on your dashboard, type it in there, type your question there, and then I'll field it to the relevant panelist, likely to be towards the end of the session. Just a reminder, it is being recorded, this session, so you can watch it again, or you can forward it to friends and family later on via the on-demand page on the Your Overseas Home website. Right, enough from me. Very quickly, Cristina, just tell us about yourself, your own experience, and Ideal Homes.
Yes, Richard, thank you for the introduction as well, and good afternoon to everyone who's watching this. I'm Cristina, and I'm one of the property advisors here with Ideal Homes Portugal. So your trusted agent here, specializing in the Algarve, in the southern tip of Portugal, doing what we do best, helping clients find their dream home here and helping them from A to Z, so helping them from step one until the very bit when they're relocated or have bought. And so, yeah, helping and assisting clients, holding their hand all the way through.
And just tell us about your own experience. How long have you been doing this sort of work or helping people find a home in Portugal?
So I have been with Ideal Homes Portugal since 2021, but I have relocated myself from the UK just before the COVID in 2019. And I have got a Portuguese husband and a young daughter who is also half Portuguese. And so, yes, absolutely. I mean, since we've relocated ourselves, we haven't really looked back. Portugal has been an idyllic place where it's obviously, not only raise a young family, but just everything really about it, lifestyle, climate, weather, people, you name it. I couldn't think to move anywhere else but right. Portugal.
And you've obviously been through the whole moving process yourself, so you've got first-hand experience, first-hand knowledge of doing that. So all very helpful. Thank you very much. We'll come back to you in a minute. Joanna, just tell us about yourself, your experience, and a bit about MATLAW as well, and how they can help people today.
Hi, Richard. Hi, everyone who is watching us. A pleasure to be here, and hopefully we'll be able to help you. MATLAW is a law firm focused in all the areas you can imagine, legally speaking, of course, related to real estate. So we've been assisting clients from all over the world, moving, investing in Portugal, helping them with their tax affairs and in international tax issues related when Portugal is, of course, involved. And we have offices in Lisbon, in the Algarve, where I'm from, so my heart is in the Algarve, and also recently in Oporto. So we are opening for officially our Oporto office very soon, but we already have people working there and assisting many clients choosing the Oporto in the North region to invest or to move. And that's it. What can I tell you? We mostly work with non-Portuguese when it comes to investment in Portugal, and of course also with Portuguese developers, and all our clients are real estate related, let's say.
And just give us an idea of the range of nationalities that you're working with at the moment. Who are your clients?
Oh. Well, the UK is a very dear audience. We've been working with the UK since ever. It's one of our most important clientele. Very recently, we also have lots of American clients. I think America has recently discovered Portugal, and we feel that boom, and also our knowledge has to be driven by the clients that we have. So now we are much aware of visas and moving to Portugal from the US to Portugal. But then we have all the European Union. So the Netherlands is also very interesting clientele. Ireland, not in UK, no, of course, Northern Ireland from the UK, but Ireland itself. And then, well, South Africa, just a few to name it. Yeah.
A big spread. I see everyone nodding when you said Americans then. So we're hearing a lot about the American market in Europe at the moment.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Americans have really discovered Portugal. And Barbara will tell you a lot about exchanging, dollar to euro. That's one of the key aspects of all this process that we're going through in this webinar. I hope you find it useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Barbara. Yeah, we were just chatting about your American clients you're telling us about you've helped recently, but just tell us a bit more about yourself and Smart Currency Exchange.
Yes, hello everyone. It's great to be here. Yes, my name is Barbara. I'm here representing Smart Currency today. So we are currency exchange specialists. We help a lot of international clients to make cross-border payments in a very easy, simple way, offering very, very special products to help them to protect their budget against the currency volatilities. So, of course, the American market, has been very volatile. So it's very important to be in touch with us and get the guidance from our experts. I look after the Portuguese market, and I help a lot of people invest over there. I travel a lot to Portugal. I love Portugal. I actually used to live in Porto for 9 months back in 2020, while my husband was doing an MBA at Porto Business School. And I have, Portugal is in my heart. I love Portugal, and I'm so excited for all of you thinking about moving over there.
Great. Thank you very much. Look forward to talking about currency in a minute. Great. Okay, Christina, let's look in more detail about at the role of the agent, finding your right property, basically what you do to help people listening today. Do you want to just talk us through the different steps involved in finding and buying? So where does your relationship start with your clients? Let's say someone watching today, they're ready to buy. What will they do? They'll contact you via the team here or direct. And then what happens after that? How will you start the process?
Yes, Richard, thank you. So I would pick up from the very first, obviously, inquiry that the client would be sending. So depending on doesn't depend on which stage they are. They could be at that buying stage already, or just really having just thought about, Portugal. Okay, how do I do this? How do I move there? How do I relocate? So it's pretty much from that sort of first initial inquiry. I do establish a rapport. So I make obviously contact with the client and help guide him through the, purchasing process. I guide him through what happens, if you're wanting to relocate, buy for investment here, or just buy a sort of holiday second home. So I work with clients particularly to understand what their objective is, and the reason, and the big reason why. I then obviously try and understand a bit about their sort of preferences, property requirements, lifestyle. Again, very important. So where they want to be, what they like to do. It's not just about buying a property, but really getting to know the buyer. I then, after that, put them in touch with one of our local agents. So I myself am more sort of office based. So I make the things happen, if that makes sense. I do put them in contact with a trusted local agent on the ground here, another Ideal Homes Portugal, obviously, sales consultant, that then obviously meets them and takes them through to see properties, or takes them on a viewing trip and scours the Algarve to find them, a property suitable for them. So not wasting their time showing, properties that they wouldn't be interested in. It's not what we do. We do build a rapport for exactly that reason, to be able to obviously match the buyer to the right property.
And this will all be happening because obviously, one of the key things about buying abroad in Portugal is that you're doing it long distance. So a lot of the people watching will be in the UK, America, Asia, wherever. So this is building up the relationship from afar. So you'll be doing this over WhatsApp, telephone calls, email. Thank goodness for technology these days.
Yes, exactly.
And going through the brief and asking them questions, and they'll be asking you questions.
Absolutely. So it's a lot of virtual conversations, Richard. A lot of sort of WhatsApp calls and video calls. Absolutely. So remotely, yes. So building that rapport remotely or presential. Yeah.
And the experience that they'll have with you as an overseas, someone helping international buyers, is going to be far different to, say, if they're buying at home in their domestic market, where the role of the agent is far less involved. So, and is it fair to say once a client knows they want to work with Ideal Homes, it might be another agent, they don't really need to go to another agent, because you will become, if you like, their eyes and ears in Portugal while they're not there, and you will go and find properties to present to them that fit their ticks, their wish list. It's not like traditional hunting where people might go and look for properties and then go to the agent. It's almost incidental who the agent is. So you are going and finding them properties. And then you'll get to the stage, hopefully, where they'll come out to Portugal. And that is a key part of the process, isn't it? The viewing trip. So tell us how they normally work. Someone's ready to come out and view properties with you. What sort of length of those trips? How do you organise accommodation? Just tell us how they work.
Yes, absolutely. So viewing trips are very, very beneficial. Yes. So obviously, if you're at that sort of buying stage and you have already identified the sort of, one particular area in the Algarve or not, you may know what your property is, but you may not have decided, where in the Algarve you want to be yet. These are very good. Yeah. These are subsidized, obviously, business trips, 2 to 4 days. And typically, you can book, you can have those, anytime. So you can book those at any time of the year. You could, it could be spontaneous or, a couple of weeks ahead, so we can just build that rapport with you to understand what is it that you're looking for and how we can help. But they're very beneficial in a sense that we do the legwork for you. So obviously that's optimizing your budget, your time. We do scour the Algarve and build a portfolio of properties that is shared with you even before you come out. Within your requirements. The viewing trip also includes everything from, so pick up from the airport and drop off by the agent. We house you in a no less than 4-star hotel here in the Algarve for 2 to 4 nights, breakfast included. And then it's obviously during those days you are getting a sort of one-to-one guidance from our professional sort of sales, expert in the Algarve. Some of our obviously sales advisors have been doing this for 15 plus, 20 plus years. So they're very experienced, they're expert in their field. And so you're benefiting also at the same time about the, investment advice. You meet the legal persons, on the ground here. So we connect you to all of those, all of those sort of services. So we are like a one-stop shop, like you said. And it's good that you've mentioned, Richard. Yes, we do work with other agents in the Algarve. So we do buddy up. So we buddy up with other agents and we share listings. So that obviously expands the portfolio even more. So yes, they're very beneficial for those that are actually looking to purchase.
How many properties would you normally expect the client to see during a viewing trip? Because, I mean, I've heard it said if you try and see too many, it just becomes confusing and you start, you don't remember which things go with which property. And there's a sweet spot really, isn't there, about seeing, what is it, 2 or 3 a day and don't see more than maybe 8 or 10, I don't know. Just give us an idea of what a sensible amount is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not really exhaustingly seeing properties from morning to night. It's not what we do. So you would typically, in a typical day, you'd be picked up from the hotel, about 10 a.m., in the morning. You've had your breakfast. You'll get in the Algarvian sunshine in the morning. The agent will pick you up at the hotel. You'll see a couple of properties, so 2, 3, maybe 4 properties during that sort of morning, afternoon. And so you'll still get the evening to yourselves. You can go for, for your partner, wife. You can go for dinner or go for a stroll, in the area, explore a bit by yourselves as well and get a feel, of what the Algarve is sort of, being there, sort of living there. But yeah, so it's not an exhausting. And plus, again, it's also important to know that you'll only be shown properties that are of interest to you. So you won't be taken to, to properties that will not be within your criteria or budget. And so this is quite important because that very much sort of optimizes the quality of the trip and also, optimizing your energy and budget.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. We were talking about budget before we went live, weren't we? And how you do get clients who aren't really in tune with some of the prices in the Algarve now. So it might be useful just to run through what a sensible budget is in your kind of mid-market areas. I know there's always a bit cheaper somewhere, and there's obviously your multi-million euro areas in the Golden Triangle, your Kinstalago and places like that. But if you're looking at a typical family resort in central Western Algarve, what are sensible prices for? Let's talk about an apartment, a townhouse, or a small villa, and then if you want a larger villa.
Yes, absolutely. So there's different types of properties here in the Algarve for different types, all the different kinds of budgets. Really, if you're looking at sort of an apartment with a 2-bed apartment, really the starting price would probably be from around sort of 300,000. So 300,000 euros will be your sort of starting point. Of course, that depends. Then you can move into about a townhouse, a detached villa, or something like that, where you could be looking at starting from about 450,000, 500,000 for something good, and still within close to a large town or amenities. So you do not need to go sort of too far inland. And moving on to obviously detached villas, about 3 to 4 bedroom. Starting point for that will probably be between sort of 600,000 and onto 1 million and more. So depending if you are really sort of with the sea views and private pool and really within walkable distance to the beach or something like that. And also depends on the type of condominium and the complex that the property is. Golf course properties typically have more sort of running costs. So you have those expensive condominium fees and ongoing costs, which, say, for example, maybe a detached sort of villa, will not have. So it's worth obviously thinking about those, going back to costs again, which is quite important.
Yeah. And just conscious of the timing, I want to make sure everyone gets a good amount of time. What the actual process of buying? So you take a client out, they see a property they like, and what happens then? Will you help them make an offer, and negotiate for the client. And then once that's accepted, are you there sort of throughout the process to help drive the sale, make sure contracts are signed and things that need to happen do happen on time? Just give us an idea of your after sales service.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Richard. So we hold the client's hand throughout the whole process, like I've mentioned to begin with. Yeah, so we don't just show properties. If obviously the client has seen property, fallen in love with it, he's more than welcome to put in an offer, which is obviously being in a sort of a verbal and then a sort of written context. So he can verbalize it and then formally via an email. That goes to the agent, who then makes direct, obviously, contact with the owner and negotiates on behalf of the client for the offer, obviously, to be accepted. After that, it's a simple reservation fee of €6,000. So you can reserve any property here in Portugal, be it an apartment, a townhouse, or a villa, with €6,000, and that's your holding deposit. It's like a sort of reservation fee. So what that does is takes the property away from the market, whilst the lawyers do the due diligence before moving on to the first, obviously, promissory contract, where you're expected to put down as a minimum 10% of the property purchase price, so whatever price has been agreed. But correct, yes, we do hold the hands throughout the whole process, and we do have an after-sales department as well. Once they've obviously locked in their deal, they've purchased the property. If they wanted to rent it out or even use it themselves, we assist with all of those after-sales services as well. Furniture packages, even getting the property AL ready. So when I say, obviously, AL ready, AL stands for Alojamento Local, which is essentially a local lodging license. So if the client wants to rent it out, we do assist with that as well. So just to tie in our after-sale services as well.
Perfect. And I bet you get clients coming back months, even years after they bought, with questions and wanting help with stuff, which I'm sure you oblige. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, brilliant. That's a really good guide of how you can help people find their property. Be nice to go into some of the areas, but we haven't got time at the moment. We can go back to that maybe towards the end. But thank you very much, Christina. Let's look at currency now. Hi, Barbara. You're with us.
Hello. Yes.
Hi there. I think the first place to start with currency, you mentioned it briefly in the introduction, is how rates have changed a lot and how it's affected people's buying decisions. Just tell us why exchange rates are so important when you're buying abroad, in Portugal here. And sadly, people don't always consider it until later in the process, or too late in the process, and it could be a costly oversight. Just talk us about the effects of exchange rates on an overseas property purchase.
Yes, absolutely. So the currency risk is constant if people don't really pay attention to it. Okay, so and what I usually ask people that speak to me is, would you buy a property without knowing how much it's going to cost? This is a very important question, because you are buying a property using a different currency. So a lot of people, they think, oh, it's not a good, I'll search into it near the time that I have to pay something, or they don't really think about it. But it's extremely important to have a conversation with a currency specialist and to understand your budget, right? The rates are moving the whole time. And if you don't have a full idea of how much you can afford, or even put a budget planning in place, you can lose a lot of money. Or you can even, we had cases where clients didn't really plan themselves and they didn't manage to complete, on the property. So it's extremely important to look to your budget, speak to a currency specialist right in the beginning. The rates are changing constantly. And how we do that, right? How can I know how much my property will cost if the completion is in 3, 4, 5 months time? And that's why we are here. We are here to help clients. We are here to guide them and to offer a product which is not really offered by high street banks, which is the possibility to lock the exchange rate for the future. So this is a great product. So you can lock today's rate for up to 12 months. So let's say if you are putting an offer in a property today, you can already lock the rate and know exactly how much it's going to cost in a few months' time when the completion comes to place. It's a lot of people don't really know that this exists. This product is available. Bear in mind, high street banks, they don't really offer that, but we do, and we have the ability to help clients to protect their budget.
Okay, and actually that was going to be my next question. Thank you. I mean, people sadly still think moving money, making an international payment, I need to go to a bank to do that. We know that that's the worst thing you can do especially if you're making a high ticket payment abroad. Just tell us, and it's not just about the rate, is it? It's about the service. Just tell us why Smart Currency Exchange as a currency specialist offers a better service than a bank.
Absolutely, yeah. So banks are usually very transactional. They just lock exchange rates and they book a trade and move on to the next client. We work with clients for long periods. So even if clients are on a very early stage of their journey, we are here to guide them. So they will then be able to speak with a currency specialist. They will get all the guidance. We'll offer a full guidance to the client. Each client has their own account manager, so they'll get to know each other, understand the time frame of the transaction. And we are here not only to offer the rate, but to work with the client for future transactions as well. It's a very, very, I would say, boutique approach where we are here to guide the clients throughout their whole journey and make sure that they are doing the right decision.
So really you build up a profile of each client and you get to understand their timescales, their approach to risk in terms of how long would they wait, or do they want peace of mind with exchange rate immediately, and you get a profile for each client, and then you'll create a strategy, if you like, for moving the money to Portugal based on that, which is something we all know you wouldn't get from a high street bank. Let's just explore, and you mentioned the solutions for sending money. You referred to the forward contract, which is buying currency in advance. What else? I mean, I know you've got something called a spot contract. So some people will want to just say, you know what, I like the rate as it is today. I need to send money. I want to do it now. Just talk us through the other options as well as the forward contract. Yeah,
we do have different types of contracts. The spot contract, which is buy and sell on the day. We do have the forward contract, as I mentioned. You lock the exchange rate for the future. We do have as well stop loss or limit orders, how we call. So if clients, they are a bit more adventurous and they want to test the market, see how the market will react, we can put a limit order with a desired rate in the market. So if the market has any spike, we are able to grab that rate for the client, even if the spike is overnight. So this is a very good product for clients that have a requirement for long term. So we can work as well with limit orders. So it's a great one. And we also do have a regular payment plan. We have people where they do have living costs or school fees, or even like a mortgage, in different currencies. So we can lock the exchange rates for every single payment throughout the year. So the clients know exactly how many pounds, for example, they will have to pay to achieve that amount in euros on a monthly basis.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned about talking to your currency specialist early on in the process. We consider the three panelists today. You guys are the three sort of core service providers in a successful Portuguese purchase, and speaking to you early is really important. And so, when would you expect, or would you advise clients to actually sit down and? Well, the first thing is you can open an account with Smart, it's a no obligation account. So, and you can do that online or over the phone, and then what happens? You then get to speak directly with an account manager, who will talk to you and get to understand your requirements. Is that what happens?
Yeah, so it's a very easy process. Clients can open the account over the phone with us or online as well on our website. Once the account is open, they will be allocated to their account manager, and then they will build the relationship and speak directly with their own account manager to book any trades that is needed. So it's a very, very straightforward process. We are always available over the phone. So if they have any questions or anything, we are the company that likes to be available over the phone, over emails, on WhatsApp as well. So we are here to help the clients anytime.
And to actually make a transfer, the practical steps involved. What happens? It's you agree a rate, or if I'm a client and I say I need to send 200,000 euros for a property purchase to Portugal. Tell us what happens and how the money moves from, if you like, my sterling account, and how it gets to, it will be my solicitor's account in Portugal, Joanna's law firm's account in Portugal for the transaction. Just talk us through the steps and how quickly that happens as well.
Yeah, it's very quick. So yeah, once you have the account set up, you're going to speak with your account manager. You are going to agree the exchange rate. Once the exchange rate is agreed, we will send you the contract, the currency contract, stating every single detail about the transaction, the value, and we are full transparent. So you're going to have everything in that contract. On that contract as well, you're going to see the beneficiary details for the funds. So let's say if you are in the UK, you are going to be sending your funds to a segregated account with Smart. And once we receive those funds, you will then instruct us to where send the funds, who is the beneficiary of those that money. Once that instructed, we will transfer the funds straight away, and the beneficiary will receive the funds in euros in case of Portugal. So it's a very, very straightforward, and it's a very quick transfer. It takes, I would say, it depends on the bank, but it's usually instant or maybe a couple of hours. Of course, if you do a transaction later in the day, the funds will reach the beneficiary account in the morning next day.
Wow, great. So that's it. So you send the money to Smart and then it gets set on. Great. And fair to say that Smart's very good at keeping clients updated on currency markets as well. So if people are waiting to send a payment and they want to know what the exchange rate's doing, you have news bulletins and email. You send out exchange rate updates every day. Is that right? So you help people stay informed.
Absolutely. We do have emails going out for any major movement in the market. We do also have as well our quarterly forecast, which is a very, very precious piece that we produce for clients, so they can read and they can understand what is the forecast, what is expected to happen with the currency, and that could be a very valuable, material for people that are planning for the future. That's available on our website, or you can message me as well. I can send to clients the material.
Great, thank you. And the final question, a really important one though, especially in today's age of internet fraud and things that sort of thing. Just tell us about Smart's credentials and how clients know their money is protected all the time, and accreditations that Smart has. Just tell us that.
Absolutely. We are authorized by the FCA here in the UK, HMRC registered. How we work is when a client sends funds to us, they are not sitting on the business account. You know, we have a segregated account with Barclays Bank, which is it's the safest way to receive funds from clients. Bear in mind, we are here in the UK. We are completely registered, authorized to operate this way. So it's safe.
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much, Barbara. Really interesting. All very useful. But we are out of time for you just for now. So we've got our agent who's going to help us find the property, take us through the process, guide us through the buying process, eyes and ears on the ground in Portugal. We've got our currency specialist who is going to help us send the money, protect our money while it's being sent to Portugal. And the third really important person is your lawyer, your independent lawyer, Joanna. So Joanna, just very quickly, just to start, could you run through what your main role is in the Portuguese purchase for people listening? What is it you're actually doing for clients during the transaction?
Yeah, well, we do a lot. I always like to see our roles, you know, Christina's, Barbara's, ourselves at MATLAW, and the client. We are a team. And we need to make this work the best way possible, avoid costly mistakes, which is the title of our webinar, and make sure that the experience of the client is as smooth as possible. So let's say we are here in Portugal, and we as lawyers, we have the Portuguese legal background. It is really important. You may be watching us from all over the world, and you may asking yourself, well, can I use my lawyer here in Singapore or US or UK to complete the purchase in Portugal? That would be great. I would love to work all over the world, but each country has its legal background and framework. So it's really important that you have a local lawyer, English speaker if possible, because the language is also a barrier. Although I invite all of you to learn Portuguese once you are here. But it's much simpler, of course, being able to speak in English and to guide you, to explain you, and to being fully transparent. So our role here is to make sure that the client is protected legally, especially the client's investment, right? We are talking about transferring funds, paying with deposits, completing properties. So we do receive, we do manage and arrange all the payments on client's behalf. And most importantly, we make sure that before any payment is due, the structure of the transaction, the purchase or selling or whichever structure we have defined with the client is accurate, tax-wise and financially wise. Also, that legal due diligence and technical due diligence has been carried out to the property and the parties involved. And so therefore, it is secure to go ahead and buy property A, B, or C, right? So as Christina was saying, it is very, very important for us to understand what is the client's purpose when buying a property, because you can imagine you being an investor willing to capitalize your investment and making good money, a rental income, for example. It's different, or if that is your key priority, it's not the same as buying a property for yourself and your family, just for family use. You may close your eyes to certain unconformities of the property with urban planning issues, or if you're buying a property to combine both, so you want to rent it out under the alojamento local, so as Christina was mentioning, the local lodging activity, but you also want to enjoy the property, or you want to do it as an investment under your business, your company abroad. So in understanding the purpose of the investment is really key for us at MATLAW, and I think it is part of doing a good service. It's also really important to understand whether the clients are relocating to Portugal or not, or if they're buying a second holiday home here or a property for investment, or if they are actually relocating to the country, moving here permanently, and that will change a lot of things in the client's life. Okay, one of it's of course taxation, because from the moment clients become Portuguese tax residents, their taxation will be centralized in Portugal. Of course, we will have international double taxation issues, and we also assist the clients with this. So again, understanding the route, understanding the plans. Sometimes they are short-term plans. Sometimes we are talking about mid, long-term. For example, for people in pre-retirement or looking to retire in a couple of years, it is very common to have this kind of conversation. So, Richard, I'm sure I could speak all the afternoon about how we can help clients. All their succession once they have assets in Portugal is also really important to manage and to make sure it is compliant. So anything.
Yeah, that's a great introduction to your services. Thank you.
We're here to help.
And what I can take from that is people need to speak to you in advance of really starting to look for properties, so that you've worked out what your, the different elements to your role, like you said, if they're moving and if there's tax considerations, so you can put things in place before they actually get to the point of purchasing. So that, straight away, people should be talking to you early on in the process. So let's just take a look at a typical purchase now, whether it's for a holiday home, for example. Someone will appoint you as their Portuguese lawyer. And then once you've got your details and you've established that relationship, they'll go off and they'll start looking at properties. The next time, or the first time that you really are, that you'll get involved then is when they make an offer on a property and they have to sign a contract, hand over money, and it starts to get serious. Is that really when you'll get involved then? And just talk us through what happens after that. Yeah.
That's correct, Richard. Although we usually like to suggest the clients viewing trips as they are coming eventually to see a property which they are, probably making an offer and getting willing to get ready to put an offer and going ahead. Viewing trips to Portugal, it's very good to take the opportunity to meet your solicitor, who will explain the whole process, collect all the information required from yourself and your family or your business to structure the next steps. So collect what we call the powers of attorney. And with that power of attorney, we will be able to represent the client throughout the process. And the client won't need to come to Portugal again. I used to say that, you can come to pick up your keys and enjoy your property, because leave all the problems to ourselves. That's why we are here to help. So viewing trips, usually I suggest taking the opportunity to meet the solicitors. If a viewing trip is not planned, a Teams meeting, a Zoom meeting, it's important just to know us. We know, again, knowing the clients, knowing the process, clarifying any questions, and also explaining the particularities of the Portuguese system, because some clients may come with but their own countries, the conveyancing framework, to understand. One of the examples that I usually like to give to any client is that a deposit payment in Portugal is typically non-refundable. Okay, although in the UK, and I know that buyers can pull out until a very later stage in the process. So if a client is not yet sure of this move of going ahead and buying, it's a risk to pay a deposit. So it's really important to know the budget, to know how much the investment will cost. We prepare all the tax calculations and and the breakdown of how much will this cost, and we give it to the client before the client or we sign on behalf of the client anything. Okay? It's really important. So getting, knowing everything as much as possible, as best as possible on an early stage can really avoid costly mistakes, okay? Can really avoid losing money, or even if not losing money, not having the experience that you were expecting, okay? So,
yeah. Okay. No, that's clear. Yeah. And how long are purchases taking at the moment in Portugal? So from the point of paying a reservation deposit to the point of completion, how long are we talking? And what's the other step involved is the sales contract, isn't it, before completion? Maybe just tell us about the stages and then give us an idea of time.
So the Portuguese system is very flexible in terms of mandatory and non-mandatory stages. However, I will tell you about the common practice and what usually happens. So as Christina mentioned, we usually have a reservation. It's kind of a letter of intent or a term sheet where parties agree the main terms and conditions of a transaction. And there may be or not a payment associated to this reservation. It is important that this payment is made, in my opinion, to an independent lawyer, and it's kept in escrow because it's not covered immediatly by a promissory agreement. Okay, it will be then deducted to the deposit, 10% or a higher deposit that we were discussing. So this reservation, let's say the parties agree to start a due diligence and negotiation process that will lead to the signing of a promissory agreement of purchase and sale. In this contract, it's supposed that legal due diligence has been carried out, technical due diligence has been carried out, and the buyer knows exactly what he's buying. It's important. Okay, I'm taking this and I'm putting a large deposit, 10%, I don't know, 10% of 500,000, 50,000, it's a lot of money, in my opinion. So before you do this commitment, you know what you're buying, which risks you are taking, if any. Usually there are no investments without risk, so there is always a bit of risk in everything in life. And you give your solicitors, okay, I want to buy. You can sign on my behalf. You can pay the deposit on my behalf. Okay. Bear in mind, this deposit, unless the parties agree otherwise, or there are very specific conditions in the specific contract deal agreed, is a non-refundable deposit. Okay. And then we will have to prepare completion. In each case is a case, Richard. We may complete in a week. We may complete in a month. It's very dependent on the parties' circumstances. For example, imagine that the property you're buying has a family living in there. They need to find another place. They need to move. They need to clean. They need to remove all the belongings. Or imagine there is a mortgage to be redeemed in that property. We need to involve the lender, the bank granting the mortgage, to make sure that mortgage is redeemed, because the buyer will not take on the debt of the seller over the property. So it will depend, but it's very dependent on the party circumstances. I will say on average, a transaction from very beginning till the end is completed within 1.5 months to 2 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Bear in mind one thing. In the summer, it is very common, as the summer is here, right? Here comes the sun, as the Beatles say. During the summer, it's very common to postpone completion of transactions. Why? Because the summer season is the high season for the rental activity. So usually the seller will want to make sure that the rental income of the season will be kept, in his pocket. So usually we now are closing a lot of deals, but they will only complete early September. So then in September, we'll have a boom of completions. And it's also sometimes not easy to visit properties because they are rented. But Christina will be the one responsible to find the best times to visit the properties while guests are moving out, are checking out. and before another check-in. So the summer is a quite specific season of the year with regards to completing real estate transactions. And this rule of the 1 to 2 months should not apply strictly. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you like to have proper holidays in Europe as well, don't you? Spain and Portugal, places I know, which is good.
Yes.
Not a bad thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Which is
but with that, you can have a holiday in the property that you want to buy before you move in, for example.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. That happens.
Great, thank you. The other thing we should mention are the costs that come with a purchase in Portugal. So the taxes and the fees. Can you give us an idea of a certain percentage against the purchase price people should budget for, and just itemize the main costs?
So absolutely, Richard. And on top of the purchase price of any property, you need to budget what we call the transaction costs. Our advice as a worst case scenario estimate is for clients to budget 10% of the purchase price. When we are talking properties from 300 and above. And this is the worst case scenario. Why? It will not reach the 10%, okay? But which costs are we talking about? Taxes. Unfortunately, we all need to pay them. So important, the property transfer tax, which in Portugal, usually, and depending on the type of property that we are buying, but usually for residential property is progressive. So the higher the agreed price, the higher the tax. Stamp duty, which is a flat 0.8% over the purchase price agreed. And then we have lawyers, legal fees, lawyers and notaries fees. We have not state agents for buying clients, because the state agents are paid usually in Portugal, and unless the parties agree otherwise, by the selling party. So it's not a buying cost. And then we will have, if the clients decide, which we usually highly recommend, but it's not mandatory in Portugal, a technical survey. So the surveyor's fee, which it's not mandatory, and it's at the buying party's costs. So overall, and of course, registration of the acquisition, which I include in the legal fees, overall, this will not exceed 10%. For sure. In any case, as I said, yeah, what we usually do, it's our practice at MATLAW. We prepare a provisional breakdown before signing, and then a final breakdown, so the client can have real figures by cent at the end of the process and before.
So you do as like a simulation of the costs, and yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
It is really important. Clients are dealing with smart currency. They're currency specialists. They know exactly how much they will need to pay and when. Okay, if we are signing in this date, if we are completing within a few months, they can budget it. They can organize their finances accordingly. Okay.
Yeah. Great. I'm just conscious of the time. We've got 5 minutes. I think we've covered up all the key things on the legal side, and we do have a question actually. And this was, thank you very much, Joanna. Yeah, that was really useful. There's a question from Mira, and it's relating to smart currency specialists. And they've asked, you haven't mentioned commission on transactions, which is a good question. So Barbara, just talk through what, if any, fees there are to pay by clients.
Free to open, so there is no fees or no such a cost on registration. Okay, so that's why I encourage people to definitely make the most of our services. There is no fees, no costs to have an account with us. Okay, and in terms of the exchange rate as well, there is no fees. So it's a completely transparent transaction where you only look at how much you're selling, the exchange rate, and how much you're buying. I
Wow.
hope
So
it's clear, but yeah.
so there's no extra fees for a transaction. And I think I'm right in saying, just so listeners understand, that as a currency broker, you make your money not from charging clients, but from the back office exchanging and buying and selling of currency that you're doing with banks. So you don't have to pass that cost on to any costs onto the clients. So it really is what the quote you get is your cost. Great, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Christina, I wanted to ask, we touched on seasons and how summer is busy and its stuff slows down. It would be useful probably to say when are the best times to go out and view properties, do you think? I'm guessing we're just coming into summer now, so is sort of September, October onwards a good time? It might be that's the time people could plan a trip if they're listening now. Just tell us through the best times.
Yes, Richard. So perhaps July and August wouldn't be the best months to visit, as it's typically busier. It is hotter as well, and probably typically clients have got that sort of holiday mindset. Obviously, they come on holiday, but they do. It's always a bit of sightseeing, isn't it? You want to see what's available. Typically, properties are harder to get into, like Joanne obviously mentioned. And it's just not that time of the year where you would really benefit from, getting everything that you need. So I would say come September, absolutely. September, October, going into the months when it's less quieter. And then you can get to also enjoy the Algarve, but then also, obviously, explore and use it to your benefit, finding a property. And it's just to recap quickly as well, Richard, if we've got a few minutes, just about, sort of from the very first step. So set up your objective, saying, are you buying a second home? Is it for investment? Is it to permanently relocate with your family? So those are really important steps, and also getting your finances in order. So I know that obviously we speak about avoid costly mistakes, and like Joanna very much has pointed out, it is very important to get the financing in order before you're signing. Obviously, you're putting down a deposit. So this is why it's quite essential that one of the first starting points I get clients to assess their finances, be it mortgage or, get that in place, before obviously finding a property that you love. We just want you to be in a position where you can afford to buy it. We just don't want you to miss out. So very important, and that will avoid a costly mistake as well, right there and then. And take advantage of our viewing trips. Absolutely. Go ahead and book those, and you can definitely benefit from that.
I'm just going to say, back on the seasonal thing, although we've talked about it being hot and summer, holiday season, summer, the Algarve is really a year-round destination as well, isn't it? I mean, it's cooler but not cold outside of the summer, and that's an ideal time, especially for the golfers, because it's better playing obviously at cooler temperatures in the summer. So I know we've talked about occupancy rates for rentals before. They don't just die off at the end of the summer. You get golfers coming in the cooler seasons, and then springtime, people coming out who don't want to be there in the heat. So let's make sure people understand that it is truly, and the flights going into Faro especially are, they're year round, aren't they?
Absolutely. And we're just getting direct flights from the US as well now into Faro. So they've actually started them in May. You can fly direct. I think that the Algarve is dead in the winter. It's really an old sort of, an old say. It really has changed. And Algarve is an all year round destination, definitely. I mean, it rents out really well during the year. You have obviously the families, the holiday, summer holidays, you have the golfers in the mid-season, and then you have the Scandinavians, North Europeans that are coming in and renting it out, for months at a time during the winter. You have, more people working from home. So it's very popular with the digital nomads that are needing those extended stays. And typically people do rent out for longer as well, because they're in different places now, as, working conditions, they make that extra bedroom an office, so it's absolutely all year round destination, definitely. So you've got to look at some popular towns what it would be best to buy for investment. Obviously, not all the areas in the Algarve will give you the same sort of rental return, and so it's important to look where, and obviously know the reason behind and objective and why, and then also be prepared. So have your finances in order and have your sort of ducks in order, so to speak. It will help you greatly and assist you.
May I add? Sure. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Add just a few comments. It's very rare in our practice to see a client who has bought a property in Portugal and then resold years later to lose money. Very rare. So the capital increase, the value of the properties, as you all may read, with regards to the Portuguese real estate market for the last decade has increased. So we are talking about rental income, but the beauty of the real estate is this: you can use it, you can have your family enjoying it, you can rent it and capitalize, and you can also make money once later on you decide or you need to sell it. So when we are thinking about doing an investment, and it's quite a risky decision, especially abroad, just bear this in mind. It may seem a huge risk, but you will not, with 99% chances, regret it. So this is a point that I really like to make, especially for people in this decision, in this stage of, well, should I do this? Should I take this step or not? And as lawyers, we assist the clients buying, and then with the selling, and then with the renting. So we can see, and I'm so happy to see clients making good money and also enjoying the region, enjoying the country, renting a car and going to the north of Portugal, visiting the country, learning the language and getting to know more, which, that's what ultimately makes them deciding to relocate and to retire in Portugal, because they really fall in love with the country.
Yeah, no, it's a true lifestyle investment. And I've done these sorts of things many times, and a lot of people, when they do buy, not just in Portugal, they're not actually buying because they're investing or they're trying to make money. They're doing it for lifestyle reasons. And then when they do sell, there's this incredible amount of capital uplift, and they've actually made quite a lot of money, which is, it's a bonus for a lot of people. But, yeah.
You can't take advantage of bonds or shares in a stock exchange. The money is there, but having a property which you can use, and I'll also make
those things can disappear overnight, or a click of a button, can't they? Great, what a place to end. We're over the hour mark, but thanks very much. Oh, sorry, yeah, Barbara, did you want to say something?
Adding something as well, talking about, selling the property in the future and making gains on selling it. We also help people who is repatriating funds back from Portugal to the UK or to the US or any other currency. So we can help people buying and selling as well. I just wanted to add.
No, very important point. Yeah, you repatriate funds as easily as you can send them to Portugal. And obviously, why would you want to lose money at the end of your journey of owning property just by not sending it the money properly? So very good point. Thank you. Thank you very much to everyone who's listening, either live or recorded version. We hope it's been useful. Thank you, obviously, to our panelists, Christina, Joanna and Barbara. You can get in contact with all of them after this, directly or through the Your Overseas Home team. So thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. A small request: if you found this webinar useful, the team here would appreciate it if you left us a review on the review website, Trustpilot. There it is. Yep, there's a link there that takes you to that. I also have a save the date for you, which is for the Your Overseas Homes comprehensive virtual event, which is on the 4th of October this year, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in UK time, which means we get time to spend with people in America. And it's a chance to meet everyone and anyone you might need for an overseas property purchase or relocation. So there'll be people like our panelists here today, lawyers, agents, currency people. Then there'll be visa specialists, financial advisors, and they'll be available in real time, but virtually, to talk to you. There'll be seminars, a bit like we've done today, talking through all the key topics. So really something that's unmissable if you are considering purchasing or moving abroad. And the great thing is you can do it from the comfort of your own sofa, because as I said, it's hosted online in real time. So you can register via the link that you can see on your screen as well. That's it then. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to our panelists. Good luck with your plans in Portugal, and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Richard. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.